Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Abigail Giles. It's Wednesday, June 11th. Here are today's headlines. Negotiators for the Vermont House working on education reform sent a new proposal to their Senate counterparts on Monday afternoon. Not included in the House's latest offer, the Senate's idea that school districts get a tax break if they spent less than what the state planned to give them under a foundation formula. Emily Kornheiser is the Democratic chair of the House's Tax Writing Committee. She says there wasn't time to vet the idea, which might create shortfalls in the state's education fund.
It's a really significant piece of tax policy that would require, and fiscal policy that would require an enormous amount of analysis to even see if it would raise enough money to fully fund education.
The two sides will meet again to resume talks on Wednesday. Vermont Attorney General Charity Clark says the state has joined a lawsuit to block President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops in Los Angeles. In recent days, Trump has sent several thousand National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to Los Angeles to deal with protests that are opposing his immigration and deportation policies. Clark says it is very clear that Trump does not have the legal authority to deploy these troops unless there has been a rebellion or invasion, and that this authority rests solely with the governor of a state. And in this case, California Governor Gavin Newsom has actually opposed the deployment.
Frankly, I think doing this has really raised the chaos and exacerbated problems. So I am very disturbed to see what's happening in California.
Governor Phil Scott's office says it has not received any requests for National Guard troops, and given staffing constraints, it's unlikely it would be able to fulfill one. The Trump administration last week finalized its new rules for a Biden-era broadband funding program. Alexi Montserrat is with the Vermont Community Broadband Board. He says the state now has to resubmit its plan to the federal government using the new guidelines within 90 days.
This is a very tight timeline. So in light of the new elements, it does compress things. It is going to be a sprint for sure.
Vermont is supposed to get $223 million through the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD, program, which is expected to help fund the final phase of the high-speed fiber build-out to the most rural corners of the state. Montserrat says the new rules do not appear to significantly change how the state can spend the money, but the federal review has slowed down the work. And the Essex-Westford School District will offer school-age kids both free breakfast and lunch throughout the summer months, including to youth living outside the district. The announcement on social media says there will be free breakfast and lunch distribution sites at Maple Street Park Pool in Essex Junction and Fort Ethan Allen in Colchester. And new this year, the district, which teamed up with Hunger Free Vermont, will also offer bulk meal kits to students in rural areas outside the district. Those sites offer students a week's worth of meals to go. Some of those free meal kit distribution locations include Milton, Montpelier, Waterbury, Roxbury, and Wadesfield. No registration is required for free meals or bulk meal kits for school kids aged 18 and under. Coming up, federal funding cuts to rental assistance programs mean some families may be forced back into homelessness. That's after this.
Thanks for listening to The Frequency, where support comes from VITA, supporting business growth and innovation in the Green Mountain State. From agriculture to manufacturing, energy to food production, find solutions that turn your business dreams into reality. Visit VEDA.org and see how VITA can help make it happen.
Over half of Vermont renters are considered cost-burdened. Federal housing vouchers, or Section 8, help cover the rent for over 7,000 Vermont households. But recent federal funding cuts have prompted some local housing authorities to stop issuing new vouchers. For one family, that could mean re-entering homelessness. Reporter Carly Berlin brings us their story.
There was a moment last fall when Hannah Patton finally felt like she was at home. It was on Halloween, a few months after the 37-year-old single mom moved into a new apartment with her 2 kids.
We were all sitting around the table, and my son is 14, going to be 15, so he was not really wanting to carve pumpkins, but we did.
The family had been homeless for nearly a year, living in motels. That was after they fled Patton's ex-husband, who she said was abusive. We're not disclosing her location for her safety. After months of searching, she'd been able to secure this 3-bedroom apartment with a short-term housing voucher paid for by the state. That Halloween night, Patton felt like everything had fallen into place.
We're just free, we're happy, we're healthy, we're secure.
But now, a year after moving in, Patton and her kids may soon need to move out. That's because her temporary rental aid expires this summer. The state program she got it through was supposed to act as a bridge to long-term federal help. So Patton had gone through round after round of applications for a Section 8 voucher. And by May, this permanent ticket to security seemed like it was just within reach. Then, one day late last month,
I get a phone call from my case manager telling me that even though I had been selected for the voucher, I was being put back on the wait list.
And at least for now, she has little chance of getting off of it. That's because the local housing authorities that administer federal Section 8 vouchers are facing a reduction in funding from Congress. Altogether, to get within budget, the 9 housing authorities that serve Vermont will have to trim nearly 1,000 vouchers from their rolls by the end of the year by not reissuing them when tenants give them up.
I mean, it's dramatic, right?
That's Kathleen Burke, executive director of the Vermont State Housing Authority, the largest provider of vouchers in the state.
We're trying to solve an affordability housing crisis while at the same time Congress continues to not adequately fund one of the most basic successful programs that Housing and Urban Development has ever made available to low-income folks across the country.
Amid an acute housing shortage, a record number of Vermonters lack housing. For many, a Section 8 voucher offers one of the few sustainable paths out of homelessness. As that path gets cut off, Miranda Gray with the Department for Children and Families worries Vermont's homelessness response system could face a bottleneck.
It's just going to add strain to a system that is already really strained.
For some Vermonters like Hannah Patton, losing their chance at a long-term housing voucher could mean re-entering the state's motel program, the last resort when shelters are full. That would end up costing more for the state than continuing the voucher for her apartment.
It really sucks that I have gone through the whole process, been homeless, hit every single step, and now most likely I'm going to be back in a motel.
When Patton moved into the apartment last summer, she had set herself a goal. She had just started a part-time job at a local business, but within 2 years, she hoped to have a better one that would let her get off public aid and cover the rent herself. After that, she imagined buying land and building herself a house.
This apartment gave me the chance to kind of dream of our futures and what it could be, and that's all gone now.
But there was a shred of hope to hang on to. As I packed up my car after our meeting, Patton ran down to the sidewalk. She had just gotten a call for a job interview, a position with the state to help families like hers navigate the benefits meant to offer them stability. Maybe it could deliver the security she sought. For Vermont Public, I'm Carly Berlin.
That was Report for America Corps member Carly Berlin. Carly covers housing and infrastructure for VT Digger and Vermont Public. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Howard Weiss-Tisman, Lola Dufour, and Mary Angish. Today's episode was edited by Liam Elder Connors and produced by Adia Ghostin. And our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Abigail Giles. Talk to you tomorrow.
Planet Money helps you understand the economy. We find the people at the center of the story.
Garbage in New York, that was like a controlled substance.
We show you how money influences everything.
Tell me what you like by telling me how you spend your money.
And we dig until we get answers.
I had a bad feeling you were going to bring that up.
Planet Money finds out. All you have to do is listen. The Planet Money Podcast from NPR.